2-2.
Very good.
Yes.
So, speaking of what we've been up to, Thano,
Yeah, it's been
it's
a
been
few weeks.
it's been about a month. I think our last release was January 9th.
Yeah.
We have been busy boys.
And the weather.
The weather.
The weather played a role.
Yeah, there was about a solid week and a half where we couldn't like really comfortably be like, hey, we're gonna take a day to go
outside,
go do something fun. It wasn't like, like biblical weather, except for 3 days.
The
MLK weekend was rough.
Yeah.
But then we had a really bad snow day.
Yeah.
We had a really, really bad cold day, and then we had an ice storm day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like it was hard to get out. We've been busy. It's the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Back from break.
But man, what a fast like month it's been.
Yeah, dude, it feels like it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Like I know time wise it has, and like I can look at like our the last time we put a thing and the last time we're gonna put a thing, and I'm like, oh, it has been a lot.
We at some point, I feel like probably when it comes out on DVD, we'll need to watch American Fiction again and give it a proper recording.
A proper recording.
A proper recording. I mean, we haven't given it a recording.
Oh, we haven't.
No.
Oh, that is true.
And that made my top 10.
Yeah, I made my top 10 too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Man,
I don't know why I forgot that we haven't talked about it.
The white man is making mistakes again.
But all right, so let's talk about some of the things that we've been up to. And by the way, I have a bit of a twist. We're not talking about Out of Darkness first.
Oh
no,
we're talking about Argylle first.
Yeah, because technically speaking, Out of Darkness does not come out in theaters until this Friday.
Oh shit!
So I'm gonna put out Argylle first.
Yeah.
And then I'll put out of Darkness.
Out of Darkness.
So let's talk about our little hiatus. What have you been up to, friend?
I just took a righteous poo. I'm working on a prenuptial agreement.
Ooh.
Lots of fun.
How's that going, friend?
Oh, fine. I just have to get a whole bunch of papers.
Oh, fine.
But it's great.
The dreaded prenup?
Not dreaded for the man. Not dreaded for the man.
As someone who is part of the poors.
Yeah.
That was never a thing that crossed our minds.
Correct. Here's where I had a moment of actual privilege. I had a good privilege check at work.
Awesome.
Because, not that I know like a slew of people who had prenups, but I always had people talk to me when I was a kid. They're like, when you get married, make sure you get a prenup. And then I had cousins joke around with me. They're like, are you gonna sign a prenup? And then I was like, okay, I guess this is a thing that I guess this is just a thing that people do. And then my coworkers, we were talking. I'm like, I'm meeting with a lawyer today. I was like, why? I'm like, prenup. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, I've never met anybody who signed a prenup. And then I was like, and it's, I mean, the lawyer fees are not cheap, but that's when I really put two and two together. And I'm like, got it. I will shut up now.
The only time I've ever heard of a prenup outside of seeing shit on a crime show about someone killing someone for the prenup has been the Chris Rock special where he talks about you got to sign a prenup.
I don't remember.
It's one of his. It's like his second or third special. But anyway, I have fallen down the rabbit hole again.
Yeah.
The wrestling rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I am balls deep again into the WWE.
And I was sickie for your wrestling party.
You were. It was a lot of fun. We watched the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
The Women's Rumble was actually a lot more exciting than the men's.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
Women's History Month next month, people.
Hell yeah. Just in time for the Elimination Chamber.
Yes.
But anyway, so we were able to go see a couple of movies recently.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, we are talking about Out of Darkness, like I mentioned, for our next episode. Correct. We saw that as part of AMC's secret screenings.
Yes.
Which is actually a pretty cool idea, I think.
Should I comment on that experience in the Out of Darkness episode then?
We can. We can.
So I'll save my comments for the Out of Darkness episode.
Sure. But I do like the idea that they entice you with, not only for us, we get in for free, but for the normies, it's only $5.
Disgusting normies. Okay, so maybe I will say this comment now because
Sure.
it's relevant. Um, that theater was pretty full.
Yep.
And it was Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember.
Monday
One
night.
of the two. So the shittier nights of the week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was, like I said, it was packed.
It was very full.
And I've told you this, but I was like, man, who'd have thought the way to get people back into the theater is to not tell them what they're about to see.
And you'll have to retell your woes going to a secret screening.
My woes?
Yeah, because you were saying like, oh, trying to tell people you're going to a secret screening.
Oh, yeah.
But we can save that for later.
We can.
So the following or that weekend though, we ended up going to go see
It was a tale of two very different films.
A Tale of Two Very Different Movies.
But similar ratings, I would say, of quality.
Ish.
Within a star.
Fair.
Yeah, within a star.
Fair.
Yeah.
But so we went to see Argylle,
Mm-hmm.
which is the latest Matthew Vaughn movie. He has previously done a
latest
lot
Matthew
of
Vaughn-
movies.
The latest Matthew Vaughn fucking experience is what it's trying to be. My goodness.
So he has done his most famous like franchise, quote unquote, has been the Kingsman franchise, but he also did Kick-Ass,
Yes.
which were I think overall very well received.
I love both of those movies. Both of those movies at some point in my life probably used to be on my top 5 favorite movies ever list.
They were great. They were a
Yep.
lot of fun. They were taking like the superhero franchise in like a direction that you usually just don't see.
Correct.
He was also involved in the X-Men franchise. He made probably
First
one of
Class,
the
right?
best. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably one of the best, or one of the better at least,
I s-
X-Men movies.
I still have not seen it, but I've only heard good things.
You know, the funny thing is,
Mm-hmm.
I saw that movie with Becca by total accident.
Mm.
My brother and I went to see the movie, and then that same day, Becca and her grandpa went to see the movie.
Does Becca,
And we were sitting, I think we were sitting in front of them, and she goes, "Oh, it's Javier and Eric."
does Becca listen to this show?
Who?
Does Becca listen to this show?
I don't think so.
Millions of fans. Becca's the woman who used to put her mouth on part of my body.
God damn it. Fair. But anyway. But yeah, so he has done a lot of good movies. I really still genuinely love the first Kingsman a lot.
I love the first Kingsman.
Even the second one I had a lot of fun with. It was not great.
The first Kingsman is conservatism at its best.
Yes.
It's my take.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Yeah?
Yep.
Kill Obama in it?
Well,
Yes.
conservatism at its best is still flawed.
Yeah. But anyway, so this movie, it was... the problem with this movie was the trailer was overplayed. It talked up this big, like,
That was the
mystery.
first on the Reddit thread for this movie. The first on the Reddit thread for this movie, the first straight up 10 comments were about the fucking trailers not having to play anymore.
Yeah.
That was insane.
It's been a trend
Mm-hmm.
that I honestly think is self-imposed. Like this issue is self-imposed.
Mm-hmm.
It is these people are going to see movies multiple times a week. What the fuck are you expecting?
Yes.
Like, as someone who goes to the movie, like, because we have A-list, so we go a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
they
3
are
times a
going
month,
to
right?
recycle
Yep.
a lot of the same trailers.
They are. And especially as it's fewer and fewer production studios who are putting shit together.
Mhm.
Like, obviously they want to promo. Like, whoever the parent company is for Argylle wants to promo the rest of their shit. So you're going to see the rest of their shit.
For sure.
So yes, I agree. Like, I didn't know. I mean, I remember seeing the trailer a lot. I never felt like there's been other movies where I felt like, can this fucking trailer go away more than I felt for Argylle.
Here's the thing. I remember seeing the Argylle trailer a while back, and I don't remember ever feeling like by the time I heard people saying, like, I've heard this a lot, I've seen this a lot, I think it was like the second time I saw it. And I was like, you're already fed up with this? This trailer's really been out
Not
that long.
Right.
So I feel like I felt that for sure with like Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
But that was like a COVID issue. Same with the New Mutants.
Oh yeah,
That one was rough.
When did we first see the promo poster, and when were we like, what the fuck is this?
I
It
want to
feels
say
recently.
I want to say it was maybe like November-ish,
That's recently.
where I sent you an email, a chat, and I was like, "Holy shit, this looks
Yeah.
bonkers."
Yeah, the cast,
The cast,
the
the
poster
cat.
itself. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess November is kind of a while ago, but November doesn't feel like that.
No, dude, it's 3 months at best.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that long. People need to shut the fuck up.
I agree.
Anyway, all right. So let's start with like
Let's
some
discuss
positives.
the film.
Let's start with some positives.
Mm.
Let's start with some negatives, and then we'll get into the who is Agent Argylle. So, for me, this movie is fun. There is a fun to it. There's a funness to it. Matthew Vaughn does a really good job at like doing silly things with like a genre that you are used to. Like we said, with the action,
Spies.
with the superhero movies,
Yeah.
with the Kingsman movies. The only problem that I have is this is, and it's a problem, but it's also not a problem because at the same time, the way the movie ends, like he's already done shit with the spy genre with Kingsman. So like, if you're trying to do something new and different, maybe try a different genre.
So
I think he could do something interesting with like a horror genre.
Yeah,
Just something else, right? Because he already did superheroes.
I could see him do a horror comedy.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I'd watch the shit out of that.
So are we getting into spoilers yet or no?
So just give your basics for now.
All right. So I won't touch on like the bigger thing that he's trying to do here. I also thought it was fun. I think I like it a little less than you did because actually, while I like it is kind of a rom-com.
A little bit.
Now in the trailers, let me back up. In the trailers, you do get the premise of like, a spy novelist is writing spy books, and they happen to like be coming to life. Like in the trailers, Henry Cavill doesn't exist, right?
Which, by the way, insane that people were like, I went to see this movie, and I was disappointed that I found out that Henry Cavill is not the main character. Yeah. I was like, did you not watch the trailer that you're complaining about?
Right.
Anyway.
Calling out Jeremy Johns. Anyway. That was his whole thing.
Oh, yeah, that's what he said in the video.
He was only there for 5 minutes. I'm like, first of all, no. Like, he wasn't in there for, like, a lot, but, like, he was not only in... They made it seem... Like, the people who thought he wasn't in it made it seem like he was in the opening scene and that's it.
That's it, yeah.
And I'm like, that is objectively not true.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I saw the trailers, that premise by itself alone didn't actually really intrigue me that much. I think the way it used twists... And it used a lot of
twists.
Did make up for the fact that I felt that the premise was a little lackluster. Now, here's the thing: a lot of people like the rom-com element. I like that this movie was trying to be a rom-com. However, I might be in the extreme minority in this. I did not really buy the chemistry between our two romantic characters.
I agree.
Ooh, okay.
I agree.
Good. Yeah.
And here's the thing. I don't know. I have a really hard time seeing Sam Rockwell as like a hunky leading man. He's not supposed to. He's supposed to be like a goofball.
He looks goofy.
And with later reveals, like it makes sense why he is goofy.
Right.
But it also doesn't help that like Bryce Dallas Howard also feels like she's miscast a bit. So let's get into the spoilers. So like we said, we both kind of enjoyed it. It does have a lot of issues.
Right.
By the way, if CG bothers you, holy shit,
this is some potato. This is some potato CG.
This is some potato CG.
Not Flash potato CG.
No, but
this is Idaho potato CG.
And I already told you my theory, my big brain theory as to why the CG is even more jarring. But by the way, like it is bad. Yeah. So who is Agent Argylle?
Bryce Dallas. Well, Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill is Argylle,
but Agent Argylle is Bryce Dallas Howard.
It's so stupid. All right, so
you were like, "Wow."
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Watching the trailer, I was like, "Okay, so it is going to be someone." The only logical thing, it's the woman who wrote the book.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then we're watching the movie, and I'm like, oh, okay, it is 1,000% her.
Right.
Apparently, Katie was none the wiser. But then again, Katie's not the type of person who like actively.
I did miss the whole who is, strangely enough, I did miss the whole who is Argyle campaign surrounding this movie.
Oh, really?
Like, I never walked into this movie thinking that that was a mystery.
Oh,
Anyway, but if you did get it, then yes, I feel like deduction would indicate, well, like, well, I've seen a movie before.
yeah.
It's the female character.
Yeah. And you know, here's the thing. The thing about this movie too is like there are a lot of like kind of cool set pieces that make sense for someone like Matthew Vaughn to make. You haven't seen Bullet Train, have you?
I don't know. He did Bullet Train?
No.
Okay.
That was David Leitch who
Okay.
who did Deadpool, and he's doing the new Jurassic World movie probably. Um, he worked on John Wick and everything
Okay.
too. But anyway, very similar art style in like the way their action is shot. Like very like the camera moves a lot, but you can still tell what's kind of happening for the most part. The fight scenes are always fun, and this movie has a lot of that. And while I really do like it, I think the problem with this movie from the very beginning is that it is very toned down for what Matthew Vaughn usually does.
Oh, yes. If this movie, I told you this, if this movie was rated R, it would be, maybe this isn't the angle you're going, but if this movie was rated R, it would gain a whole other star.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're gonna hold out a star for me. I'm the same way with like people who are like, oh, that movie should have been hornier. I don't agree necessarily that like making a movie more horny is always going to make it better. It can, same with the R rating.
Right.
It could make it better. But the thing that doesn't help is like it sets the way it's shot. It almost like like places the camera in a way that makes you feel like you're gonna see something very bloody and violent, and then it's just like nothing.
I was telling the coworkers, I don't think they actually do this kill, but it's like the camera's in a way where like you like it would seem like someone's neck was about to get sliced open by an ice skate.
Yeah.
Right. And then you think that that's what you're gonna see, and then you just don't.
Yeah.
And it's
and you see the person like you still see the person like moving as if they had gotten their throat chopped up, and it's nothing. So you're like, did they get shot at all?
But I think that's where I think if it was like that, then this movie would have been so much better for me, because Matthew Vaughn, like you said, he's a vibes director, right? Kingsman church scene.
Oh,
right. I mean that's about the kills and the brutality.
And the fun.
And the fun. I mean, Kingsman by itself was a much better movie, but if you take out that scene from Kingsman, like I think it's a significantly lesser movie.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have the church scene, there's a lot that style can do for many directors. I think there's a lot that style can do for Matthew Vaughn, and to me, it just seems so bizarre to see that toned down in this movie.
I had a thought the other day while I was in the bathroom. I was like, Matthew Vaughn, I feel like, is a similar director to Zack Snyder. But clearly, he's not doing something quite as right because he doesn't have... Because he doesn't have like a rabid fan base, even though he should, because his movies are better.
Yeah.
I think a Matthew Vaughn high has been significantly better for me than the Zack Snyder high.
Oh, for sure.
And that to me, like, because they're both very visually striking directors. Like you see a Matthew Vaughn action scene and you go, oh, that looks like a Matthew Vaughn action scene.
Right.
And same thing, you see something from Zack Snyder, you go, that looks like a Zack Snyder movie. But I don't know what he's not doing right. That like he doesn't have like that rabid fan base.
I don't know if this is a factor. I think his sequels in general are kind of duds. And I think once again, I think you like Kick-Ass 2 and Kingsman 2 more than I do. Like I think I dislike those movies. I think you're at least neutral on them.
I would say at the very least neutral. I don't dislike them. I do recognize that they are significantly inferior to the movies that preceded them. I think Kingsman 2, for example, for him, like I said, even if the movie is not great, there's a lot of fun to be had, like in some of the set pieces.
Almost heaven.
That was fun. But like you have like when they're storming Poppyland,
Yeah.
like that shit's a lot of fun. As bad as it looks, the fight they have with Whiskey at the end at the diner,
I barely remember it.
that's a
but
lot of
It was
fun.
fun.
And it's also like I also feel like it's like with James Gunn, it's a lot of like the needle drops just really work
Right.
and they add to the scene. I feel like this movie was lacking in that too.
Not to beat the Zack Snyder analogy too hard, but I think he benefits from doing 300 and Watchmen.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, those were cultural. Those movies were cultural.
Yeah, that's
moments.
fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Even though not his best by a mile,
No, but I mean,
but they
yeah.
are. Yeah, they were big. They were a big deal when they came out.
Yeah.
I do have to agree. So all right. So this movie is kind of wild because it is a globe-trotting like spy movie
Yeah.
where this very sad woman, who by the way, I put this in the notes. She is like peak hot cat mom energy. Where like she is sad enough to be a cat mom,
Yeah.
but like you'd still tap.
Okay. Her existence is sad.
Wait, you mean like Bryce Dallas Howard or like the character?
The character.
Oh, okay.
But
Uh-huh.
I don't think the movie ever shows us that she is sad.
It's a lot more implied. So like there's the
This
scenes
is tell, don't show the movie. It's one of my biggest problems.
but like I mean there's a scene where she's like she sees a cute guy and he's like, "Oh, can I take a seat here?" And she's like, "Oh, my husband is here."
Sure,
and
but she doesn't want to get hit on by a guy.
No, but then she's like she looks defeated in herself for not letting the cute guy sit in front of her.
I guess, but that's one thing. I don't know. I think this movie could have done more to show me that like her life is lacking, especially when the character who really like tells us like, oh, like you need to get out more is her quote unquote mother.
Mom, yeah.
And then we find out some shit. But anyway, yes, this is a sad cat mom.
It is.
Yeah.
But she's I will say, dude, she's got a donk.
She got it on.
She got a donk.
Yep.
She looks great.
Yep.
It does tell us a lot about her success as a writer.
Yeah.
Like you could have had her be in like a big room, not just a little bookstore.
Right.
Like to imply that she's like very successful. It also like kind of brushes aside the fact that she's written like 5 books in the span of like 3 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh damn, this lady's cranking them out.
It is kind of hard living in the post Harry Potter and post J.K. Rowling is cool world. It is kind of hard to picture a book being such a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, because even I don't think there's anything. Maybe Twilight,
Maybe Twilight, maybe Hunger Games,
but even then, that's been a hot minute.
and those are still largely niche
Yeah,
audiences. Whereas this was sold as like a cultural phenomenon.
yeah. There were nerds, there were hotties.
Yeah,
In that audience,
there were goons.
There were goons. There were lots of goons. By the way, total tangent.
Yeah,
Are you familiar with the term gooning?
I am not. But
So apparently-
I love the term goon.
Apparently, the term gooning now means someone who just like jerks off constantly.
Jesus Christ.
So they're like, oh, he's a gooner. He's someone who's just like jerking off to porn.
Where-
And now my gamer tag is forever goon sinister. They're like, God damn
That's
it.
really funny. In Greek, we already had this word for someone who jerks off constantly. Malaka. Anyway.
So all right, but my other thing is like she does, at least to me, I
Yeah.
did get the feeling that she was like feeling like she needed some sort of fulfillment. But then when this guy is here to like offer her like some excitement,
Sam Rockwell?
Sam Rockwell,
Right.
she's like, nah.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like
What's
she
the
ever
refusal of the
comes
call?
around. Like she never comes around as Ellie. She comes around as Agent Rachel
Yes.
Kyle.
And that I think dovetails with my feeling that the movie never sold for me that she needed to be Agent Argylle.
Yeah.
Argylle. Right? I agree. I don't think she comes around as Ellie. I don't get, other than the fact that the spy world needed her for some reason to do whatever this organization, to combat whatever this organization led by Bryan Cranston was doing.
Yeah.
Right? I don't get how she as a character has found fulfillment. Especially since she just goes back to writing her books.
At the end of the movie,
Yeah.
Wait, and so I mean, I guess in a way that was kind of set up by them saying that she won it out, and her getting that list was her maybe way out. But I don't know. It feels kind of unfulfilling.
Yeah.
At the end, it I do like the idea of her kind of processing the book and us seeing what the book would do.
That's cool.
And then in contrast, seeing just kind of how
Sam Rockwell.
I love like, I don't give a fuck, whatever.
I absolutely love the way that it did that, and it also keeps Henry Cavill.
Keeps him in there.
Yeah.
I love how goofy he looks.
Yeah.
Because like usually you think of like a spy as like someone who's like really suave, really slick, right? Wearing a nice suit maybe, and he's wearing this weird like up to the neck like suit jacket weird thing.
Yeah.
And the most gaudy fucking haircut.
Did you ever have? All right, so you know the Justice League cartoon on Cartoon Network.
Okay.
Did you ever have the action figures based on that
No.
cartoon? Henry Cavill in this movie, I feel like, is based on an action figure for the Justice League.
What
and
character?
Then his action figure, in general, the Batman one, the Superman one, even the Green Lantern one have a similar build. Let me see. Green Lantern, Justice League.
But anyway, while you look that up, he just, and I don't know, like Henry Cavill, like he's good at what he's asked to do, and I feel like people are kind of putting too much weight on him for this role.
Yeah.
There was an article that I saw today from
showing Javier Green Lantern.
Oh yeah, he do be built like a triangle.
Yes.
But then the problem is like people are, the article that saw today, they're like, oh, everybody in the cast comes out looking bad, like, especially Henry Cavill, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What possible reason could you have for that?
What do they mean by looking bad?
I think it's because the movie kind of built him as like he's the main guy, and then people came in and they were disappointed. But I honestly, I feel like that's on you.
It didn't build him as the. I mean, maybe you could walk into it thinking that he was in it for more than he was.
I guess, but as far as like what his role in the story is, that's exactly what you were told in the trailer.
You were told he was a fictional character.
Yeah. And if this is supposed to be the story taking place outside the book,
right?
And there is an Agent Argylle, but it's just not going to look like Henry Cavill.
Yeah,
because you're seeing what she's picturing in her head.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, so later we do find out that apparently, so while she is like the stand-in, or Argylle is the stand-in for her in her, espionage world, Sam Rockwell is John Cena in that fictionalized version. But then, in a way, there was never that shift in her perspective of him. Because like there's a lot of scenes where like she's seeing the action happen, and like it flips between both Sam Rockwell, whose name I keep on forgetting,
let me pull up the
but Aiden.
Yeah.
And then like there's a cutaway, and then it cuts back, and then you see Henry Cavill instead, right? So you see Argylle. But then later when she learns that he's supposed to be, John Cena, the John Cena stand-in, like there's never that shift. She still kind of like sees him. I don't know. I thought that was a little weird. I guess in a way it's a misdirect so that you don't assume that she is Argylle right away. But I feel like it doesn't quite work as well.
I think it threw a lot of people off. I kind of liked it. To me, it reminded me of just how dreams work, where a dream really is just kind of a mishmash of
your subconscious,
what happened in your day, right? And I liked that the sidekick was broken up into, where the characters were an amalgam. Like Argylle was an amalgamation of herself and her best friend, partner, and lover, which does like poetically. I think it's that kind of helps the romantic element because you see how both how this character that she creates, an author's great character with love, is based both on her and Sam Rockwell. So I like that. I think that if more was done to build the romance as being authentic, I think that element could have shined out a bit more.
And I think it also doesn't help that Sam Rockwell, and I don't know, maybe this was a way for them to not make him come out as like super creepy.
Yeah.
But he like never seems endearing to her. Like anytime he talks about her, and I get that he says like he's supposed to like kind of hate the fact that she doesn't remember who she is.
Right.
But there's never like a scene of just him kind of like on his own feeling like, oh man, like this is kind of a bummer, like she doesn't remember me, that type of thing. Maybe they don't tell you that's why he's upset.
Yeah.
But like it just kind of feels like he's like on the mission and he feels like this is a chore.
The movie does the thing that rom-coms do, where he's in another room and she hears a line out of context.
Oh, out of context, yeah.
Right? And he's like, I could put a bullet in... He's like, I could put a bullet in Kelly
And I
Conway.
can't wait to put a bullet in her head.
And you're like, okay, I know what type of movie this is, so obviously that's not true.
It's out of context.
But then you're like, but then that line by itself, you're like, oh, like that's pretty... Like it's hard to read that one.
You could word that in any other way. You could be like, man, I can't wait to get this Ellie Conway out of my hair.
And it's also kind of stupid because like we've been in hotels before, like like I don't care if the water's running, like you're a spy, you should know that someone could probably hear.
Oh, absolutely. Those fucking hotel walls are thin.
Yeah. So like I think the movie, to its credit, because of how the twist works, that Ellie Conway is someone who does not exist, was made by the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do the best they can to like not make that trope feel so tired, but like
that leads us to our first twist of the movie.
Yeah,
which is she goes to a hotel room in London with her mom, who we have seen multiple times by this point.
In Chicago.
In the most Chicago since when we went to see New York in The Killer. Here's the thing. I kind of buy that a little bit more because I don't know what that neighborhood looks like.
What do you buy a little bit more?
Like, I could buy that there is a Chicago neighborhood that looks cookie cutter like that.
No, there is not. No, there is not.
There is a place out by Yorkville that I went to once when I was doing insurance that I was like, it kind of without like the red doors.
That's Yorkville, Nudie. That is not Chicago. You know what this movie did? This movie does what all of us suburbanites do. And Chicagoans hate us for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I'm from Chicago.
That's fair.
I'm from Aurora.
Yeah, but who the fuck's gonna be like Yorkville?
No, I get it. Chicagoans need to shut the fuck up about this, but that's what this movie did.
It does, right? So anyway, so we do see that she is supposed to be meeting with mom and dad, and then we pan over to see dad, and who is dad?
Bryan
Cranston, the baddie, right? And then you're like, oh,
yeah.
And I was like, oh, is this supposed to be like, was I wrong about Ellie being blah blah blah?
Right.
But then it starts to take some turns.
Yeah.
Because he's got a notebook, and then fucking Aiden shows up.
Right.
And the fucking mom then turns out to be a double agent.
And British.
And that was a funny line.
Yeah.
He's like, I found out my mom is like evil and British.
What does the mom look like? Or what is the mom's actual name?
Catherine O'Hara.
Not the actress, excuse me. What is the mom's evil doctor name?
Oh, what is her name? I'm not sure now that I'm thinking
trying to
about
find her
it.
on the thingy, but I cannot.
All she's listed as is Ruth Conway.
Okay.
But I think it's for the purposes of not spoiling the movie.
I get that. But the reason I bring that up is because her name sounded like Dr. Vogel.
Yeah, it might be that.
You know who Dr. Vogel is?
It sounds really familiar. Why am I blanking?
It's from fucking Dexter.
Dexter.
Season 8.
Yeah, the lady, right?
Yes, and I'm like, there's no fucking way that this is... And her ID kind of looked like Dr.
Madeline Vogler.
Yeah.
Madeline Vogler.
This can't be a fucking Dexter Season 8 reference.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
They kind of look similar. Anyway.
Maybe. Yeah. But that right there kind of like has you kind of going, oh, like what's going on?
Happening? Yeah.
And then that starts to kind of when the mom was revealed to be evil.
Yeah.
That's what, to me, 1000% solidified Ellie B. Argylle,
Yeah.
which is where we go to visit Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep, in France.
In France.
Watching
Again,
basketball.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Man, all right. God bless Samuel L. Jackson, because he's just cashing these checks to do the most minimum ass work. He was in Captain Marvel.
Right.
He didn't do a goddamn thing in that either.
Right.
He chased some cats.
Right.
And here he just watches basketball and he just looks into a camera and goes, yeah.
I always, when people are like, you wasted this actor, I always feel like they kind of need to calm down. In this movie, I'm like, y'all wasted Samuel L. Jackson.
I think he could have had funnier lines.
He could have had something to do.
I guess, but like, did you ever finish reading the Marvel book? I think we discussed it the night we saw this.
I didn't finish reading it yet, but he doesn't want to run.
He does not want to run.
Yep.
He just wants to cash his checks.
Yeah.
And you know what?
I'm sure he's not upset.
Oh, not
I'm
at
sure
all.
Upset. Yeah.
This is no Samuel L. Jackson in Django.
No.
Where he is used perfectly.
Correct.
This is, I could see why people would feel he's underused. Yeah. But so here's where they reveal to her, you are Agent Argylle. This is what happened. And they send her ass to, like, I don't know, fucking the desert in some Arabian, fucking Middle Eastern, right. Desert.
Where the man above the table lives.
But yes, 1,000%. Yeah. Here's our obligatory John Wick reference.
Except it's probably the bisexual lady above the table.
Yes.
Yes.
Very. Yeah. Sofia Boutella has been in 2 movies in the last 2 months, and somehow this is the better one.
Yeah.
But this is where it starts to get weird, because like keep this in mind for later, for a little bit later, because now we have Samuel L. Jackson in this movie, and now we have Sofia Boutella. So these are 2 people who have been in the Kingsman movies.
I was about to say that for Samuel L. Jackson. I had forgotten that Sofia Boutella was.
She was the lady she was Gazelle, the lady with the blade legs.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Okay. She was the baddie in the first movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then that does kind of lead us into like the end of this movie, which I will admit, I had oodles of fun in concept.
Yes.
Once I divorce my brain from the fact that it does look pretty fucking potato half the time. Yeah. Because we do have like, so she's like, nah, just kidding, fuck you, like I'm actually a baddie.
Right.
She pretends to shoot him in the chest.
Right.
And then like you learn that she is kind of like doing a triple agent,
yes.
Triple cross or whatever, right? And we get a pretty cool action sequence with like a whole bunch of smoke.
Right.
The 2 of them are dancing, which is something that he says that she used to love to do. Something that she refused to do earlier at a party. And I think visually speaking, this is a really, really well shot scene.
It reminds me of the Kingsman head exploding scene.
Yes, very colorful. Right. A lot of people are dying.
Yeah.
But then again, it's one of those things where you're watching this and you're like, this feels, the way it's shot, it feels like it's set up for like blood to be flying everywhere, for like heads to be exploding.
Yep.
And it just feels so like sanitized.
Yes. And
then that also paired with the fact that it looks kind of potato.
Yeah.
It makes it stand out even more. And I think I told you that my theory on this is because this movie may have originally been set to be rated R, and they left those scenes that way. They shot them that way so that they could then add the fake blood. But then they looked at the budget and said, "Holy shit, we spent $200 million on this. We can't afford the fake CG blood." I swear, I think that might be the reason why this was toned down to PG-13. Because you can ADR the shit out of the audio to get rid of any F-bombs that they were throwing in there.
Right.
But man, I just like it feels like something is missing.
There have been crazier conspiracy theories out there, and I think that's all.
This is mine. This is the one that I will die on.
I think that's all I'll say.
We after that scene, Which, by the way, like I said, I liked. We do get another scene where she is like ice skating in an
There's
oil.
2 set piece scenes like right next to each other.
There's 3,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
it's the
it's the
the
colors.
smoke. Yep,
Yep.
the colored smoke,
The oil.
the oil, and then there's the end where the two of them fight
Yes.
next to the buster thing.
But the visuals in that one are not like. I mean, it has a lot of. It's definitely very climaxy.
It's more of a personal,
Yeah.
like one-on-one set piece
Right.
than like a big bombastic,
Yeah,
like
spectacle
needle
set piece.
drop, right? But aside from the potato look of like the skating rubber woman, there's something about her where I was like having her moving around in that dress, and I was
Yeah.
like, she looked great.
Lots of people thought she looked great. Which scene, if you could pick one, which one are you keeping? Skates or smoke?
Oh, I think
I'm
if
on
the movie
skates.
was rated R
Yeah.
and it had the blood, I think it could look better. But I think the skate scene was cooler for me.
I mean, the skate scene's cooler.
I watched that scene and I had the same reaction that Aiden had, where he kind of looked at her, he's like, yeah, it's kind of hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Yep.
Like I said, this movie kind of does show off the fact that like she
She can get it.
She can get it. She reminds me of someone who like. So when people say like, "Oh, she's a MILF,"
Right.
a lot of the times I go, "You are saying that about someone who does not look like a mom."
Yeah.
I feel like Bryce Dallas Howard. Bryce Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Why am I? Yeah, I don't know why her name's that's weird. I feel like she looks like realistically like a very attractive, attainable woman.
Yep. I agree.
Good for her.
And I think this movie did a good job
Yes.
of showcasing that.
I don't know that I like the blonde look on her necessarily.
I prefer the redhead.
I think the redhead looks better. She could have done her hair different.
Right.
But I think having her already be white, having her dress be yellow as hell,
Yeah.
and then having her hair then be blonde,
Too much.
too much. The combat boot look, fuck me up, fam. I love me a woman in combat boots. But let's wrap this up by talking about our little
The post-credit scene.
our little tidbit before the post-credit scene. She is writing her story again. She's telling about her friends, which, by the way, one person we haven't even talked about was that Kira girl who got shot.
Yeah, she's alive.
She's alive, both in the book and in IRL.
Yep.
She's like telling about like what everybody did. What did the John Cena guy do? What did Argyle do? What did Kira do? And then like you pan over to like the most dorky version that you can imagine.
Yeah.
Of Henry Cavill, which still looks fucking honky as
Right.
fucking hell.
But the mulletiest mullet.
The mulliest of mullets.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, is he supposed to be like just a random character who just happens to look like this?
For jokes.
For the joke,
That's
right?
what I thought for like the whole 10
But
seconds.
then he drops a line where he's like, it's been a long time, almost something like that.
Right.
And you're like, wait a second. And the fucking movie ends.
This movie made me feel a little stupid.
Go on.
Because that scene and then the post-credit scene, I was like, excuse me?
Right. So that happens,
Right.
and you're kind of like taken aback because you're like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is going on? And then we cut to like a sepia tone, like shot of a pub with the Kingsman logo called the Kingsman Pub.
Yeah.
And then you see fucking Lord Voldemort
Yeah.
talking to a young kid, and you're like, this is the dude from the King's Man.
How old was Ralph Fiennes supposed to be in that post-credit scene-ish?
So old for sure. But I feel like then this movie, I mean, he's not super old, is
Because
he?
The King's Man is a World War I movie, correct?
Yeah.
Because I think Hitler's in the post-credit scene.
Yeah, that's a good point. So is it not Ray Fiennes?
Well, I think it is him, but the way that they brought back Colin Firth in the second Kingsman movie opens a lot of doors for what they can do with characters in this franchise. Which, spoiler alert, this Argylle thing is now a franchise.
Well, because then there's also the possibility that maybe this is taking place a lot further back in time, and just like with like Lancelot, for example,
Right.
where Lancelot is not actually his name, is just like his moniker, right? Because his name is Harry Hart, and then his name is whatever. I think it is Lancelot.
Yeah,
Right?
and then Argylle could be a moniker.
So Argylle could be a moniker that he uses.
Right, but the setting of that bar still looks...
It looked a little bit more modern.
Yeah.
But that was a whole sort of like, what the hell is happening? Is this taking place now? Is the Kingsman universe living in the world of the books that she's writing? Is there something else happening in the real world that's not connecting? Because both worlds are crazy, so like it's not out of left field that both things could coexist.
And speaking of books, there exists
Holy shit.
an audiobook.
In audiobook. I'm listening to it, by the way.
13-hour audiobook.
Which is bonkers to me that it's 13 hours.
Yes.
The fucking Hunger Games is like 7
A
hours.
whole book.
I'm listening to this shit at 1.3 times speed and it's still 10 hours.
10 hours.
Holy shit.
I've never felt so torn.
Go on.
And this is hyperbole. Because one side of my brain sees this, and it's like, Matthew Vaughn, you were taking all the wrong lessons from Hollywood. Like, this is way too big for your britches.
Uh-huh.
And another half of my brain also says, I know if they're trying to do an Argylle Kingsman cinematic universe, it's going to be mediocre at best. But I kind of want it to happen.
I'm here for it, dude.
To see
Just to see what
to see what
happens.
the end. I mean, we're living in a world where there's about to be 7 Avatar movies. Or,
Hey, man, we've only had 2 so far.
Well, no, James Cameron said.
Cameron also said that Avatar 2 was supposed to come out in 2013.
He said a lot,
So.
but he said that he has up through 7 planned. Although he's probably not going to direct past 5. But there's a above 50% chance we're going to get 5 Avatar movies at least. So, I mean, like, he's definitely not the first to like jump on this cinematic universe train, even though literally only one entity has done it right, and as of late they need some course control.
It's so weird.
Here I want to see where he thinks this can go.
Yeah. It's so weird. So apparently it says, I'm looking at this thing, it says that the young man is played by someone named Louis Partridge.
Right.
He walks into a pub.
Yeah.
And he says that he talks to someone as a flirtatious bartender named Ben Daniels. So not Ray Fiennes.
So the actor is not Ray Fiennes?
I guess not. He looks like Ray Fiennes to me.
He looks like Ray Fiennes.
But I mean, the whole point is like you're now connecting though the 2 worlds, right? That's the main thing.
Yes.
Whether or not it's Ray Fiennes or whatever, I just thought that would have been kind of cool. Yeah. But it's fucking bonkers. And then, all right, so you want to know why the whole book thing is even dumber than we are thinking? Or not dumber, but crazier.
Is it that a book exists?
That the book exists is already crazy enough.
Yeah.
There is a legitimate sect of people. There's 2 sects of people.
Mm-hmm.
One sect of people believe that the book was made and that they made the movie based on the book.
Oh, no.
No, that is flat out wrong.
Yeah.
The movie was made as a tie-in product.
Correct. Like Star Wars would do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is also another sect of people who believe that Taylor Swift wrote the book.
What?
Yeah.
In what way?
I don't know. But there was an article going around that there were people saying like this book was written by Taylor Swift and she used a ghostwriter to write the book and she's using the pen name Ellie Conway.
How fucking busy she is.
And you're like, well, first of all, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's so weird, dude.
I think
people are broken.
I think people are broken. Here's the other thing to me that is bonkers about the book. I think you and I like Matthew Vaughn more than the average bear. I'm not saying he doesn't have a fan base. I'm saying that if you survey all the people and you put our love for Matthew Vaughn, we're above the 50th percentile. I know you're reading the book.
Uh-huh.
I'm not fucking reading this book.
I fucking used I used an Audible credit. I'm going to read that book.
I get that. That's the nice thing about Spotify Premium is you get all their audiobooks for free. And
It's a Spotify book?
It's on a Spotify book too, yeah.
Oh.
So I just torched all my Audible accounts, but like, but I was like, I really want to know, like I said, not just where he wants this to go. I want to know how successful he thought this would be.
I don't know. And so here's my thing. I just hope that even though this movie, like I said, I did like it.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. I liked it. I just hope that the fact that it's kind of mid doesn't tarnish his like ability to make other movies.
Well, I've heard when you say ability, you mean like people will give him the good, like the resources, or
like people will still be like, yeah, let's at least watch, because I mean people are apparently they're already greenlit like a couple of like Kingsman spin-offs and shit. So like that's happening, but I think a bigger threat is people just saying, nah, I'm good.
So I want to see more Matthew Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
There are, and granted, it's just Reddit. But there were a lot of people who were like, "Yeah, I'm like done with Matthew Vaughn now." So I'm very. I hope that he's able to make more of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I am also curious as to how much more he's going to be able to make.
Here's the thing: people have made worse movies.
Oh, for sure.
And people still don't give up on them.
We just saw Scream, whatever, last year.
Hey man, shut the fuck up! I love Scream 7.
Scream 7 was great, but I'm just saying, like, there's been plenty of middling quality in between there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I enjoyed this movie.
I enjoyed this movie, and I enjoyed recording the review.
The review has been fun.
Yes.
Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for the few of you who are going to stick around through our month hiatus where we were busy sponges.
Busy sponge.
We will be back very shortly with a review for another movie, a special screen movie. We already told you guys what it was.
Yeah.
But it's a movie that I think is a lot better than it had any business being.
It ungas and it bungas.
Ooh, I'm so excited for the Unga Bunga talk. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Please share, like, and all that other fun stuff. We will be back very soon. Until next time, he has been Thano.
He has been Javier.
And this has been the Cine-Scoot Movie Show. Bye.
Bye.